Welcome back to the Echoes of Ihsan Podcast. Today, we're diving deep into a collection of texts that offer a window into one of Islam's most significant pillars, the Sahih Bukhari Hadith, Book 26, Pilgrimage, Hajj.
Yeah, it's really a treasure trove of stories and teachings from the Prophet Muhammad's time, specifically focusing on the Hajj. And it's amazing how these hadiths don't just, tell us what to do, but also they reveal the spirit and the context of the Hajj as it was practiced back then.
Yeah, and right from the start, I was captivated by this one hadith. It's about a woman from the Kafan tribe who approaches the Prophet with this heartfelt question. Her elderly father is unable to make the Hajj journey, so she asks if she can perform it on his behalf.
It's such a poignant scene, and it really illustrates the profound compassion at the heart of Islam. The Prophet's response establishes the principle of Hajj Badal, where someone can fulfill this obligation for another who's physically incapable. And it speaks to the idea that even in these acts of worship, we are not alone. Our community supports us, ensuring that everyone, regardless of limitations, can participate in this vital pillar of faith.
You know, it makes me think about the deep connection between faith, family, and community in Islam. It's almost like a ripple effect. This one woman's question leads to a teaching that impacts countless individuals for centuries to come.
And that's just the beginning. Throughout this collection, there's this recurring emphasis on approaching the Hajj with simplicity and humility, stripping away any ostentation or worldly desires.
I was struck by the contrast between the Prophet and his companions' practices
Mm.
and the way Hajj is sometimes perceived today. You know, there are these vivid descriptions of Anas, a close companion performing Hajj on just a simple pack saddle, not because he couldn't afford better, but because the focus was on inner transformation, not outward displays.
Exactly. And even Aisha, the Prophet's wife, is depicted performing Umrah, a lesser pilgrimage, on a similar pack saddle. These examples are powerful reminders that Hajj is not about extravagance. It's about spiritual purification, returning to our essence.
It challenges us to reflect on our own intentions, not just with Hajj, but in all our acts of worship. Are we seeking Allah's pleasure, or are we caught up in appearances and social recognition?
You've touched on a crucial point there. The idea of Hajj Mabrur, the accepted Hajj, constantly echoes through these hadiths. It's about performing the pilgrimage with pure intentions, sincerity, and a heart free from hypocrisy.
So it's not just about physically going through the motions,
Yeah.
but about a genuine inner transformation.
Exactly. The hadiths describe Hajj Mabrur as a cleansing experience, wiping away past transgressions as if one is reborn. It raises a question for all of us, regardless of whether we've performed Hajj. How can we embody this spirit of sincerity and humility in our daily lives? How can we seek that same level of spiritual renewal in our everyday actions?
It's a profound challenge, one that invites deep self-reflection. As we delve deeper into this collection, another key concept emerges: the idea of mawaqit, these designated points for entering the state of Ihram.
It's fascinating how these mawaqit serve both a spiritual and practical purpose. Before pilgrims begin the Hajj rituals, they enter a state of ihram, which involves wearing simple, unstitched garments, abstaining from certain actions, and focusing on spiritual purification. The mawaqit mark the boundaries of this sacred territory surrounding Mecca. They signal a transition from the ordinary to the sacred.
So it's like a deliberate shift in mindset, leaving behind worldly concerns and stepping into a space dedicated solely to Allah.
Precisely. And these designated points also helped manage the influx of pilgrims coming from all corners of the world. It created a system of order and unity. Imagine people from diverse backgrounds and regions all converging on these points, converging toward a shared purpose.
It's a beautiful image of unity transcending cultural and social barriers.
And this concept of boundaries and transitions isn't limited to just the physical realm. It applies to our spiritual lives as well. Entering ihram at a miqat signifies a conscious separation from worldly attachments, a turning towards Allah.
It's a powerful reminder that sometimes we need to create those boundaries, those transitions, to deepen our spiritual focus and intention.
And once in ihram, there are specific prohibitions that pilgrims must observe as detailed in these hadiths. Things like avoiding certain types of clothing, perfumes, and engaging in certain actions.
There's even this very specific instruction about leather socks. If someone is wearing them, they have to cut off the part covering the ankles. It's fascinating how detailed these guidelines are.
These prohibitions, while seeming strict at first glance, they play a crucial role in cultivating humility and detachment from worldly things. By stripping away outward distinctions, they foster a sense of equality among all pilgrims, regardless of their social status or material possessions.
So it's about creating a level playing field where everyone stands before Allah with the same humility and devotion.
Exactly. The focus shifts to our inner state, our connection to Allah, rather than our outward appearances.
And speaking of different approaches, this collection also sheds light on the different types of Hajj: Ifrad, Tamattu, and Qiran.
Each type involves variations in the sequence and combination of rituals. Ifrad involves performing Hajj only. Tamattu, which was particularly relevant for those traveling long distances, allows pilgrims to perform Umrah first, then break their ihram and later re-enter ihram for Hajj. And Qiran involves performing both Hajj and Umrah concurrently with one ihram.
So Tamattu offers a bit of flexibility, allowing pilgrims to experience the rituals in stages.
Yes, and it's fascinating to note that there were actually debates and differing opinions about the permissibility of tamattu in the early Islamic period. Some scholars question the practice, while others argue that it was permissible based on the Prophet's own actions and instructions.
It's interesting to see how even in the early days of Islam, there was this dynamic process of interpretation and debate.
Absolutely. What's remarkable is that these disagreements were resolved through reasoned discussion, respectful discourse, and ultimately a consensus was reached based on evidence from the Quran and the Prophet's Sunnah. It's a reminder that even in matters of faith, there can be space for differing perspectives and interpretations as long as they are grounded in knowledge and respect.
And this collection doesn't just cover the broad strokes. It also delves into the meaning behind specific locations and actions during the Hajj journey.
Like Ramal, the fast-paced walking with a swaying motion during the first 3 circuits of Tawaf, the circumambulation of the Kaaba. There's a hadith that recounts how the Prophet instructed his companions to perform Ramal as a display of strength and vitality.
And this was at a time when rumors were spreading that they were weak after their long journey, right?
Oh, precisely.
Ah,
It was a way to counter the negative propaganda and demonstrate their resilience and unwavering faith.
so it was a physical action imbued with symbolic meaning, a powerful statement of their unwavering commitment to Allah.
And then there's the practice of entering Mecca from the higher side and leaving from the lower side. While the exact reasoning behind this isn't explicitly stated in the hadiths, some scholars suggest it might symbolize humility and leaving behind one's ego as one enters the sacred city.
It's a beautiful interpretation. It speaks to the idea of shedding our worldly attachments and approaching this sacred journey with a humble heart.
Another powerful moment is recounted in a hadith where the Prophet refuses to enter the Kaaba when it still housed idols. He only entered after they had been removed, underscoring the absolute importance of pure monotheism in Islam.
It's a striking image. Imagine the tension in that moment. It speaks volumes about the Prophet's unwavering commitment to the oneness of Allah, even in the face of potential conflict.
It's a testament to his courage and conviction, refusing to participate in any act that could be perceived as condoning idolatry. This act also highlights his wisdom and strategic approach. While he was firm in his beliefs, he also understood the sensitivities of the newly converted Meccans. He prioritized peace and unity while remaining steadfast in his commitment to the truth.
It's a remarkable example of balancing strong conviction with compassion and understanding. This deep dive is truly illuminating the many layers of meaning embedded in the Hajj. It's more than just a set of rituals. It's a journey that touches upon every aspect of our being.
And we've only just begun to scratch the surface. There's so much more to uncover in this collection, so many more insights that shed light on the profound spiritual and social dimensions of this sacred pilgrimage.
I'm eager to continue this exploration. There's so much to learn and reflect on.
Yeah, it's not just a personal journey, though. Woven throughout these hadiths is the social dimension of Hajj, emphasizing community, compassion, and unity.
Yes. I was particularly moved by the accounts of the Prophet resolving disputes among pilgrims, offering assistance to those in need, and constantly emphasizing the importance of respect and kindness, even amidst the, throngs of people.
It reminds us that even when surrounded by so many from different walks of life, we need to maintain our composure, empathy, and a sense of shared humanity.
Yeah. It's as if the Hajj is a microcosm of the ideal Islamic society, where these values take center stage.
Yeah, a glimpse of the potential for people from all corners of the globe to come together in peace and harmony, driven by a shared purpose and guided by those universal values. A beautiful vision, isn't it?
It truly is. But let's zoom in a bit now. We've been talking about these grand themes, but what about the actual rituals of Hajj? We touched on Iram and Mawakit, but I'm curious about things like Tawaf and Sa'i. Can you kind of unpack the significance of those actions for us?
Of course. Tawaf, the circumambulation of the Kaaba, that cube-shaped structure at the heart of the Grand Mosque in Mecca, is a symbolic act of unity and submission to Allah. Picture this. Thousands of people all moving in unison, circling the Kaaba 7 times, retracing the steps of countless prophets and believers throughout history.
It's a powerful image, isn't it? You can almost feel the collective energy and devotion. It must be a deeply moving experience.
It's a physical manifestation of Tawhid, the oneness of Allah. As the pilgrims circle the Kaaba, their hearts and minds are focused on the one God. And then there's Sa'i, that back-and-forth movement between the hills of Safa and Marwa.
Yeah, that one always intrigued me. What's the story behind it?
Sa'i commemorates the story of Hagar, the wife of Prophet Ibrahim, and their son Ismail. Imagine the scene. Hagar left alone in the barren valley of Mecca with her infant son, desperately searching for water. She runs between the hills of Safa and Marwa again and again, until finally, through Allah's mercy, a spring emerges at Ismail's feet. That spring became the well of Zamzam.
Wow. I can almost feel the desperation in her search and the relief when that spring appeared.
It's a story of resilience, unwavering faith, and the ultimate reliance on Allah's provision. The pilgrims, by reenacting this search, connect with that primal human need for sustenance, both physical and spiritual.
Yeah, it's not just about remembering this story, but about embodying that spirit of perseverance and trust in Allah.
You've got it. Sa'i teaches us to keep moving forward even when faced with hardships, to trust in Allah's plan, and believe that even in the most desolate circumstances, relief and blessings can emerge.
These rituals are so multi-layered. They're physical actions, but they're also symbolic gestures, historical reenactments, and ultimately deeply personal spiritual experiences.
And that's what these hadiths emphasize. It's not just the outward actions, but the inner state, the intention behind them that truly matters. Performing Hajj with sincerity, humility, a genuine desire to please Allah.
So it's not about just checking off a box, but about a deep engagement with the rituals on a heart level.
Exactly. The outward acts are reflections of the inner state. That inner transformation, that's where the real magic happens. It's about shedding the ego, acknowledging our dependence on Allah, seeking His forgiveness and guidance.
Yeah, that personal transformation is powerful. But I'm also curious about the social dynamics during Hajj. Did the hadiths mention anything about interactions between pilgrims or any specific etiquette to follow?
Absolutely. The hadiths stress the importance of treating fellow pilgrims with respect, kindness, and patience. They describe the Prophet resolving disputes, offering assistance, reminding everyone to maintain composure even when surrounded by these massive crowds.
It's a reminder that even in this deeply personal act of worship, the community aspect is crucial.
Exactly. Hajj is about fostering community and solidarity, recognizing that we are part of one ummah, united by faith, on a shared journey towards Allah.
Yeah. It's about transcending social divisions, cultural differences, any personal biases, to focus on that shared humanity.
It really is a microcosm, as you said earlier, a glimpse of how an ideal Islamic society could function, with justice, compassion, and unity at its core. Something to strive for, not just during Hajj, but in our daily lives as well.
Absolutely. But it's easier said than done right. To maintain that level of mindfulness and awareness amidst the crowds and physical demands of Hajj.
It requires intentionality and effort, for sure, but the hadiths emphasize the importance of staying present, fully engaged in the rituals reflecting on their deeper meanings. It's about avoiding distractions, gossip, anything that pulls us away from that spiritual focus.
Right. It's not a vacation, not a social event, but a period of intense spiritual reflection and growth.
Exactly, a time to disconnect from the hustle and bustle of daily life and immerse oneself in the remembrance of Allah, seeking His forgiveness, guidance, and blessings. The rewards of that effort, according to the hadiths, are profound: cleansing of sins, strengthening of faith, drawing closer to Allah.
So it really is a journey of the heart, a pilgrimage towards spiritual purification and enlightenment.
And here's the beautiful thing. That journey doesn't end when the pilgrims return home. These hadiths remind us to carry the lessons and spirit of Hajj back into our daily lives.
So it's about integrating those values of humility, compassion, unity into our relationships, our work, our very way of being in the world.
Yes. Striving to maintain that state of mindfulness, remembering the lessons learned during Hajj, and applying them to the challenges and opportunities we face every day.
It's like taking that transformative experience and letting it ripple outward, creating positive change within ourselves and in the world around us.
That's the essence of it. And it reminds us that our spiritual growth is an ongoing journey. Hajj is a powerful catalyst, but it's not a one-time fix. It's a stepping stone on that lifelong path of becoming better versions of ourselves.
It's amazing how much wisdom and guidance we can glean from these ancient stories. This deep dive is truly giving me so much to think about.
And we've barely scratched the surface. There's so much more to uncover in the Sahih Bukhari's account of Hajj, so many more layers of meaning to explore.
I'm ready for the next layer. Lead the way.
All right, let's shift our focus now. These hadiths don't exist in a vacuum. They're deeply connected to the historical context of the Prophet's time. And some of them offer a fascinating glimpse into how the early Muslims navigated the existing cultural norms and beliefs surrounding Hajj.
Oh, yeah. It's like we're getting a behind-the-scenes look at how these practices evolved and were refined through the Prophet's guidance.
Exactly. For example, there's a hadith that describes how in the pre-Islamic era, people believed performing Umrah during the months of Hajj was a grave sin. They also held the month of Safar as sacred, prohibiting Umrah during that time.
So it seems like there were a lot of misconceptions and even superstitions woven into these pilgrimages.
There were indeed, and that's where the Prophet's teachings become so pivotal. He clarified the true essence of these rituals, dispelling those long-held misconceptions. In fact, during his final Hajj, he specifically instructed his companions to perform Umrah during the months of Hajj, directly challenging those previous beliefs.
Wow. I bet that caused quite a stir among those accustomed to the old ways.
It did. It really highlights the Prophet's role as a reformer, rectifying distorted practices that had crept into the religious landscape. He constantly emphasized that true Hajj and Umrah are about sincere devotion to Allah, not blind adherence to arbitrary restrictions.
It's a reminder that faith requires ongoing purification, a willingness to shed beliefs that aren't rooted in divine guidance.
Speaking of purification, I'm reminded of that hadith where the Prophet refused to enter the Kaaba while it still contained idols. Even though it was a common practice at the time, he wouldn't step inside until they were removed.
Right. It echoes that earlier hadith about his desire to rebuild the Kaaba, according to Prophet Ibrahim's original foundation. A clear stance against idolatry and a deep commitment to pure monotheism.
Precisely. These hadiths paint a consistent picture. The Prophet was unwavering in his commitment to the oneness of Allah. His refusal to even enter the Kaaba while it housed idols sends a powerful message. True worship is directed solely to the one true God.
It's a timeless message, relevant for Muslims today as we strive for that purity of heart and devotion.
And it's worth noting that the Prophet didn't just make symbolic gestures. He took concrete action, ordering the removal of those idols before entering. It shows that true faith isn't passive. It requires active engagement in upholding what's right.
It's about translating belief into action, promoting righteousness and opposing injustice, just as the Prophet did. Now, there's another aspect of this collection that I find particularly intriguing, those prophecies about the future of the Kaaba.
Yes. These always spark curiosity and contemplation, don't they? We talked about the hadith mentioning the Ethiopian man who would destroy the Kaaba, but it's crucial to approach prophecies with a balanced understanding.
Right. Not to get caught up in predictions, but to extract the deeper lessons in spiritual significance.
Exactly. One hadith, for instance, mentions that Hajj will continue even after the appearance of Gog and Magog, those figures associated with chaos and destruction in Islamic tradition.
It's a powerful message of resilience, that even amidst potential trials and tribulations, the Kaaba and the pilgrimage will endure.
Another hadith states that the hour, the day of judgment, won't come until Hajj is abandoned. It underscores the enduring importance of Hajj as a pillar of Islam, a testament to the strength and continuity of the Muslim community.
So as long as Muslims continue performing Hajj, it's a sign of faith's persistence.
These prophecies, while open to interpretation, offer a glimpse into the enduring legacy of Hajj.
Wow, this deep dive has been incredible. We've journeyed through so much, from the personal stories and profound meanings behind the rituals to the historical context and those thought-provoking prophecies.
It's been a privilege to explore these layers with you. The Sahih Bukhari's account of Hajj offers a wealth of knowledge and inspiration for all of us.
I'm walking away with a renewed sense of awe for the enduring power of this pilgrimage. Its ability to transform individuals, strengthen communities, and connect us to something greater than ourselves.
Yeah, it's a call to step outside our comfort zones, to confront our limitations, to reconnect with our purpose and our relationship with Allah. And as these hadiths remind us, the journey doesn't end when we return home. It's a lifelong endeavor.
Absolutely. Thank you for guiding us through this incredible exploration. Until next time, may your pursuit of knowledge and understanding continue.